is going on, everyone? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. This might be nightly for you, though, if you're over in the UK or on the East Coast. This is now the afternoon on the West Coast. It's about as late as I do a show. I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, we are fresh off an explosive Money in the Bank. It's July 1st. Money in the Bank 2023 from the O2 Arena in London. We had our co-workers and buddies, Chaos and Ben Allison, in the building. We're going to break it all down here. Post-show wise, I've got 3 esteemed colleagues, 2 over here in North America with me, and 1 over in the UK that rode with us the whole way. It's midnight there and hung out the entire time, watched the show with us. David, I'm going to start by introducing you. How'd you like the show? And good to see you once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again. It's so late over here. It's fine. I've got to stay up. I got Collision to review as well. Happy 2nd of July over here. It is now 3 minutes past midnight.
I said the wrong date in the UK. That's on me.
I'm the only one in my family who is still awake, which is marvelous stuff. I enjoyed Money in the Bank an awful lot for what it was. We know we have some contention on certain things, which I think we'll get into later in the show. But I had a really, really fun time with this show. Some really, really great wrestling, and really excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. And up next, we got the only one from Louisville, Kentucky. Dryzzy, how are you doing this afternoon, evening, my friend?
I'm ecstatic because if you remember on Tuesday, I said that Jay was going to pin Roman.
Yes, sir,
I've
you
been
did.
getting my ass handed to me all week on Twitter. And now I get to laugh and I am the only one. I'm the one.
He called it. He called it. I love it. And last, but certainly not least, head of reviewing, reviewed the show the whole way. Coby Galenzoski, how are you? How did you feel about the whole thing?
And the entire show from start to finish was just a great time. It's not late for most of the people watching, like often it is when we have the UK people watching shows with us. It was a great show from start to finish. A lot of pops. Obviously, we'll get into one of them, but the other one was holy crap. John Cena was there, being the shock of everyone. But great pop, great everything from John Cena. I'm glad it was awesome to see him. I think he might have a future match at SummerSlam, but because we're not going to get some time to do that, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But the match, we have a lot to talk about with this show. That was almost from start to finish probably one of the better shows this year so far.
Big words coming from our head of reviewing here. And of course, we'll get into John Cena and everything. We've got some comments here before we get started from our good friend Soul in Scotland. What a show. Some good and some bad. Interesting to hear your thoughts. For me, it's an 8 out of 10. Appreciate that, Soul. Another one here from Josh Haywood. Our fans tonight in the UK showed out. I could not agree more.
They did. Absolutely,
there, my friend. Quite enjoyed the show. I think we all did as well. I think even Soul did from earlier in the comments. I mean, this was a hard show to criticize at times, but we might here. Let's get right into it, guys. And let's start with guys and everyone. Guys and girls, everyone here. Let's get started with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It opened the show. We'll open the show with it as well. This one, in my eyes, outstanding. I didn't have many complaints other than, boy, did it make me nervous. That Ricochet and Logan Paul spot. Oh, scared me to death. I don't know. They turned it over and it looked beautiful at the end, but man, that was close. The rest of it, really enjoyed it. Great way to start the show. Let's start with Coby, who reviewed it, and then I'm going to go to you next, Dryzzy, and then I'm going to go to you, David. Coby, how did you feel about the match? And if you don't mind, live on air, give us your official rating.
Ooh.
So, I mean, just to start it off, I gave it a 4-star rating with our system. At the end of the day, this match was solid. It was a great opener. It was what you want in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Obviously, that was a little, of course, Logan Paul and Ricochet had a very sketchy position, and I hope none of them got concussed from it. Obviously, we saw a bit of a scar from Logan on his back, but both of them looked like they hit their head on the table. That's never fun. It almost was recovered fully, but it was sketch. Obviously, that kind of docked a bit. Uh, I'm fine with the result because at the end of the day, the Money in the Bank is not the only thing you can do to push a superstar in the company. If some like that's the thing, we all believe LA Knight is a really good talent, and we can tell right now he's getting mega pops there. Does he need the Money in the Bank? I don't think he does because there's a lot of other ways he can go with him. If he does nothing in the next 2-3 months, yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity. But Damien's in a program where he's still kind of having issues with Finn Balor. That's the Money in the Bank is good in that position, similar to how it is with the women's. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's the end of the world like a lot of people on Twitter are alluding to, and it's not. LA Knight losing is not the end of the world. I think they know how over he is. I wouldn't be shocked if we get something like LA Knight versus Edge or LA Knight versus Austin Theory.
For sure.
It a lot of things they can go, but LA Knight's money, and I think they do know that. They didn't need to give him the Money in the Bank to realize his money.
Absolutely, and I do think he absolutely got some shine on him in this match. He looked really good. LA Knight appeared to almost win the briefcase at the end, which was as exciting as could be. Do you think this damages LA Knight, Drizzy? And what were your thoughts on the match as a whole?
Coby, you are absolutely. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't think this hurts LA Knight. LA Knight has shown time and time after again, it doesn't matter what you do to him, what you give him. He's gonna find a way to make it work. He does him winning Money in the Bank. I think just the visual of him being in holding the briefcase shows that they're probably gonna start pushing him a lot more on SmackDown. So it doesn't hurt him. He finds a way to get over. The match as a whole, incredible. If it would have went second, it may have been my match of the night. Um, I have nothing bad to say about this match. Even Logan Paul, he shined.
He did.
I want to hate him. I want to hate him, but he is just so naturally good at this. I don't think we've seen anybody this good just naturally since Kurt Angle. He he makes it look effortless, and him and Rick. I really think they need to have a program with him and Ricochet at one of these big shows. There is missed money if they don't do that.
I could not agree more, especially after these two moments. That is a great call, Drizzy. I love the idea of a Ricochet and Logan Paul program because I think it re-elevates Ricochet to a level that he's not been presented at for a long time. And it gives him a chance because these spots that they've had are incredible. That level of athleticism is hard to quantify. David, we watched the match together on the live stream. Your thoughts in hindsight, anything different than before? Obviously, neither you nor I picked Priest on the prediction show to win it. That was Coby. Yeah, no, take your credit, Coby. You deserve it there. Drizzy took his. You deserve it as well on that one. And
You're
that's
the only one, Coby.
that's fair, Coby. That's fair. It's fair. It's fair. But David, let me get your thoughts on the match. Anything new also in the last few hours that in hindsight that maybe changed your mind or you liked more or less?
I think I'm gonna say it. Once I watched the women's match, I liked the men's match a bit less. By which I mean, I think by which I think I mean I massively preferred the women's match. That is not to say that this was a bad match. This was a really, really, really fun match. Everybody got the chances to shine. I thought LA Knight looked great. I thought there were a couple of scary looking bumps, particularly with Logan. Hope everybody's okay. Hope Logan's okay, particularly with that Spanish fly. They just about saved it, but it didn't look grand. I very much liked it. Just a bit. My only complaint, I felt like little bits of it were a bit clunky. It was still very entertaining, and Logan added that extra element of, boo whenever he came in. Some nice spots from everybody, and not a ton of stuff that I think will be massively remembered, like compared to like spots from previous years. I think the one that they were trying to do was the Spanish Fly, and it just didn't really work. I think the end sequence was terrific, though. I love the camera work of Damian Priest's hand coming kind of out of the camera. You don't see him until the last minute. I don't think this damages LA Knight. As much as I was behind LA Knight winning this, I think Priest is a really good choice because he's great. And I think that there's a lot of mileage in him and Finn Balor as a storyline with Damian Priest having the briefcase. I think LA Knight can recover. I do think the US title is the next thing for old LA. But a very, very, very fun match. But I don't think it was on the level of the women's match, which I know we'll get to later. But very fun.
Absolutely. And on that note, actually, we got a comment from Bailey, new reviewer at Wrestling Republic. There was a men's Money in the Bank match? ? That's sounds like he was very much on the same page as you, David. I will say it was a long show. It didn't feel too long, but at times
I also think
towed the line.
Yeah, I also think that might be a little bit of denial because LA Knight didn't win.
Right.
I know you, Bailey. I'm on to you.
One more from Bailey. I assume we're getting Knight versus Theory, which we discussed. And then another comment from our good buddy Matt Williams. Butch almost had it, broken heart. I hear you, the hometown guy. He was right there. I think had we seen him come out as Pete Dunne, that would have been the ultimate tell.
Shame we didn't. Real shame.
That it was his night that he
real
won.
shame.
If we get the bruiserweight, that's when we'll know that he's back, or he's where he should be, is the way I would put it. But with that, we might as well. We're ahead of time. It'll give us more time to discuss everything. Let's move on to the next match, which was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Raquel Rodriguez, the artist formerly known as Raquel Gonzalez, versus and Liv Morgan. And of course, we had new champions in this match and a big turn, something we expected elsewhere on the card. But in this one, that's where we got an interesting one. We had a tag team partner turn on another one. Shayna turned on Ronda, beat her up, left her lying by herself. We have new champions. Dryzzy, your thoughts on the match? Personally, before I toss it to you, I thought this over-delivered given the expectations, but I'm not 100% sure.
So this match was better than expected. And I can't say, like, for months we've been sitting there begging for better from the women's tag division. This was a good match. And Ronda and Shayna, I applaud them for everything that they've pushed for in this, because originally we heard that they had asked for the tag titles and we just thought it was kind of selfish. But if it's to do things to advance stories like what they just did, I'm on board. I am on board. As far as the turn went, for months we have been talking about somebody turning on, talking about Liv being turned on, because that's like the popular thing to do in the wrestling industry or in WWE's women's division. You got to turn on Liv Morgan. It's just what you do. It didn't come from them for once. Liv kept her partner, Raquel kept her partner, and Ronda and Shayna were the ones that had the dysfunction. I love it. Um, I'm intrigued. I can't wait for the see how the rest of the story ends, because Ronda and Shayna is something that I don't think anybody had on their 2023 bingo card for this year. Not even
Absolutely.
slightly.
I love that point you just made too. And like to your point, when's the last time we saw a heel turn on a heel in a tag match? I mean, it was out of left field. Soul did not like the match. We had Apollo over here, Apollo Animations. That was a complete shock, IMO, but not surprising with Shayna. I actually dig that. The way that Shayna was portrayed when she was at her height, I think it makes sense, right?
I mean, I'll just quickly say I don't really think the turn made any sense. However, if it gives me back my Shayna Baszler, my proper main event of Shayna Baszler, I will take it. I really like the match as well, and I think something has just come into my head. Ronda versus Shayna fight pit. Do you think that's where they're going, or something like that? They love their fight. They love their kind of forced MMA or their kind of MMA stuff. Put
Yeah,
the
let me get my
MMA
wallet.
fights in there.
Let me get my wallet. Take my money.
We've got a really interesting comment from our good buddy Martin, and I'm fascinated by this one. Actually, this is a great question, and I'm bugged by myself for not thinking of it. Is Ronda a face now? Who's going to cheer her? Did we actually just see, in a weird way, Shayna Baszler turn face? Is that what just happened? That is an
down to the
interesting
crowd
question,
reactions.
Have we ever
though,
had
right?
a face? Have we ever had a face, Shayna?
I don't know.
She
Is
had a
Shayna
brief
now the face,
turn.
or is it going to be Ronda? To his point, who's going to cheer Ronda? I don't know. Maybe Shayna's the baby here, which I don't.
Nah, I think the way that Ronda was reacting, it was very much feel sorry for me, feel sorry for me. You know,
Well,
it was
gonna go down to the crowd.
it was very kind of wide-eyed sort of puppy dog eye, baby face sort of feeling, especially given Shayna's coldness. I think the idea is to turn Ronda face, which I think could backfire horribly badly. But
I mean, I think that is the idea. That's the idea, and I think that's what they almost would prefer. But it's going to be the opposite thing. We saw. I mean, the last time Nia attempted to turn on her, or not, not Nia. Shayna turned on her partner when she was with Nia Jax, and she was
Yeah.
getting cheered because of that. It's the
Yeah.
same situation. As much as Shayna's probably going to be in that heel role, at the end of the day, nobody wants to boo Ronda, or nobody wants to cheer Ronda. So it's going to be, although they're going to make it seem like Ronda's the face, the crowd is not going to treat her as the face. The people's face is Shayna Baszler in this case, and
So
that's what is kind of the interesting part about
we've
this.
got Apollo animations in the comments here with, I think neither will be faces. Could we see a heel versus heel story on their hands? Drizzy, I know you're about to say something. So
Ooh.
what do you think?
That
Heel
last
versus heel?
comment,
No,
that last comment actually was it.
that was what you're going with.
Yeah,
Heel versus
yeah.
heel. I like
Apollo
that.
animations was in my head.
I
Yeah.
just like to give a very quick plug, because so if in my spare time, because I have no life, I fantasy book my own promotion, and I've got a Ronda and Shayna feud going on right now, and their whole feud is that they are such blood rivals. There isn't really a face and there isn't really a heel. There's just two women who want to just murder each other in increasingly violent matches. I'd be down for that. Just kind of two, because Ronda, I think you can get Ronda face if she really goes out and kicks butt. But if she comes out and goes, oh poor me, oh woe is me, then that will backfire, because people don't want that Ronda.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's interesting because even I'm a huge UFC fan myself, right? And if you look at Ronda's UFC career, there were many times where she was a babyface. But at the time of the Holly Holm fight, that crowd was for Holly, right? And they're not booking that. That was just real life. And it's very unique that Ronda Rousey's playing herself. Outside of Brock Lesnar, I don't know anyone that does it successfully. This is something we talked about off air, David, right? I don't know anybody outside of Brock Lesnar that literally plays themselves and does it. I mean, right? There's some version of your real life self. But I mean, Brock lives in the wilderness, right? Brock came out of nowhere as a freestyle wrestler. He walked away from the WWE and tried out for the Vikings, nearly made the roster, and then won the UFC heavyweight title. Right? Ronda Rousey was an Olympic judoka. She was a judo world champion. Then she goes to the UFC, dominates, becomes the face of women's fighting, right? And moves over. But the pressure of playing yourself in this space, in this creative space, in professional wrestling, I can't really fathom that. That has to be difficult because even Brock, at times, he's had Paul Heyman on the mic. She's mostly spoken for herself, right? And so it's Ronda Rousey as Ronda Rousey in a world of characters, right? And Ronda Rousey isn't a character. That's who she is. And I'm wondering if the move would be to potentially repackage her in a way and give her something to work, right? Whether it's a face paint, almost a Demon Finn Balor type gimmick, something like that, just to get the fans back interested and potentially get the fans behind her. Because she is such an athletic talent, right? Once in a generation. You just don't see a resume like Ronda Rousey's on anybody,
Right.
you know? And it seems like something that should be more logically solvable than has been thus far, you know? I guess that's just me on that one. But with that, we got a bunch of comments here. So let's do that. Hang on. We've got Paulo once again with, yes, I see them going straight beast mode. Hear me out, Survivor Series. We have Rhea as champ, triple threat. Interesting.
I'd rather Rhea and Shayna 1-on-1. And that completely undoes everything we've just said about Ronda, but
absolutely.
I'd rather Rhea and Shayna 1-on-1.
I will say it will be interesting to compare the energy and investment of the crowd at Money in the Bank and All In. That is a fascinating question. We cannot get into that on this show right now. We got too much to cover. WWE generally doesn't do heel versus heel because it's awkward for the crowd and they stay quiet because they don't know who to cheer for. That's a good point. We have one more here from Apollo Animations. You have to remember, though, that even with heels, they still have a fan base. If it is promoted right, they can make money off of it. For sure, face versus heel is a good match, but heel versus heel, you have a bigger option on how to play it out. I understand, but storytelling-wise, good guy versus bad guy will kind of always be the blueprint. I understand good guy versus good guy. I understand, or whatever, right? Babyface versus babyface, heel versus heel, babyface versus heel. They can all work in different ways. I don't know necessarily they have more options in any than the other. It really depends on the narrative, right? There's other factors that play. Let's move on to the next match. We've covered that one more than I ever expected. Let's get right into Gunther versus Riddle. This was interesting. They've got history and progress for the Intercontinental title, and we had. I'm not even going to spoil it. I'm going to let David say it because this one's for him. What happened to us, David?
Mondru. It's the return of Mr. Drew McIntyre at the end of this match. First off, I should say I really like this a great deal. This was very much also the kind of British wrestling, kind of, this is my bread and butter. I'm a big fan of this style. Love the submission counters. Very intelligent match. Another match that Gunther's won with a different finish. Can win a match with anything. It just depends on what environment he's in. I really good. I thought Riddle held his end of the bargain really well here. Just really enjoyed it. And it's nice to see good professional wrestlers doing good professional wrestling. And Gunther is amazing and the best, and I love him. At the post-match angle with Drew, I think, is great. I would very much like to see Drew versus Gunther 1-on-1 for the IC title at SummerSlam. Yes, please. Great to give Drew something to do in his home, in his home country of Scotland. Anyway, he's UK, St. Morse. Very nice to see him. Really great. Love the sort of the whole angle. Really good stuff. Very much enjoyed.
Absolutely. I really liked the match itself, even though it was short, because the finish was built with the tape on the ankle already. He got him with a heel hook. It made perfect sense. Like you said, it was a unique finish, but it was not only a unique finish, it was a unique finish that made sense.
Yeah.
The slaps to the heel, and then he locks in the heel hook.
Yeah.
Also makes nasty.
Also makes Imperium look smart, because for the last few weeks they've targeted Riddle's leg and ankle on weekly television.
Absolutely.
Comes into the match scratched up in the pay-per-view and loses because of it. It makes them look intelligent. It gives you for the sake. I mean, you can watch the match on its own merits and you get the story, but because, like, as somebody who follows the weekly television, it rewards you for watching weekly because the story builds even a little bit every week, and then this is the payoff at the pay-per-view. It's great stuff.
I couldn't agree more. And sorry, I'm over here. I almost blinked out a contact lens. So I really appreciate you carrying me for those couple minutes there. That was awesome. We got a few comments here. One here from Elijah Oliver. Hi, the only one. That's our guy, Dryzzy, of course. And then I'm not really crying. I'm not emotional. This is contact related, guys.
So emotional to Drew
Yeah,
McIntyre.
no, I'm all fired up. Speaking of emotional about Drew McIntyre, we got our Scottish buddy Soul in the comments. The Scottish National Hero's back. Another reason to watch WWE. You watched it today anyway, and you didn't know he's coming back. Come on, Soul. You're better than that. Anyway, Apollo Animations, Drew gave us a glimpse, a taste. Ooh. Or as Heyman says, a spoiler of match to come. I wouldn't even go that far. I think they got to build to it. I don't know if maybe Gunther ducks him for a bit. That'd be a unique move from Gunther, right? And Imperium?
There's only one man that Gunther should duck from, and that's Ilya Dragunov,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the only man he should. They should have him that like he doesn't. He sticks his goons. He sticks his
Canelo. Come on.
He sticks his goons on him. But stick his
Yeah,
goons on Drew. But I wouldn't have Gunther. I would have Gunther run away because that's not who Gunther is.
I don't know. Drew, I don't know if he spent any time that he's been off WWE television not in a gym, because he somehow made Gunther look small in that stare down. I've never seen that in my day of watching Walter Gunther. Like, it was out there. Either way, I'm here for it. Anything that, Drew McIntyre and Gunther touch is gonna turn to gold. That'll be good. And I'm here for it. We'll see where they go. Let's move on to one I'm less excited about, and I'm gonna toss it to Coby. And it's I'm just gonna present this as Coby. What do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? I think this match was very disappointing. So Cody Rhodes versus Dominic was what you were expecting. You have two people who are tremendously over in different ways. In Cody Rhodes, he's over. He has the people singing his theme at the top of their lungs. We have Dominic, who's getting booed out of the building almost every single time he's in the arena, which is impressive. Like he's quote unquote the best heel going right now. If you want to go that far, you can. But I think what this match happened, or what happened within this match, is they very much exposed it as something that is incredibly a filler rivalry. Cody Rhodes had nothing to do because they're waiting to do him and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, because they have a blow-off match that's going to come. What this match failed tonight is to connect the dots and not just give off this was very filler, and this was just we'll give Cody something. Oh yeah, we can give him Dominic for this long just so he's not missing TV because we're waiting for Brock to come back to continue something. That was the one issue I have with this match, but at the end of the day, like, it was still good what it was. I mean, Cody Rhodes winning the match was interesting. I'm genuinely shocked they didn't have more shenanigans. Like, if someone was going to show up, like a Drew McIntyre, Drew was on earlier, but Drew could have been here and attacked Cody, turned heel in that way. Brock Lesnar could have showed up. Hell, we could have gotten a Viper spotting because they have the history, and that could be a feud that in the future of Randy Orton's career. That might end up being short. But at the end of the day, like, the match was what it was supposed to be. I don't necessarily agree with the idea that they were kind of nonchalantly billing this rivalry as a headline or a main event, because they've done this the last few shows. Like, Night of Champions had the triple main event, the Bloodline versus Sami Kevin, AJ Styles versus the Cody versus Brock, and AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. They had this. If you were billing this match as one of the triple main events like they did last night but didn't today, it was underwhelming. If you're billing it like that, they didn't bill it like that today, which is the smart choice.
I hear you, and we have a ton of comments on this one. We've got 8fam Gaming with a yo and a what's going on, the only one. Shout out Dryzzy once again. We got Apollo Animations back in the comments with Money in the Bank men's competition has me ready for the fall of Judgment Day. I hear that. I've been complaining about them for a long time. This should have been Raw as an opener from Martin. That's fascinating.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I'm not even gonna touch that. I think everyone knows what I think about that. You could have put it on NXT in my eyes. Either way, we've got Elijah Oliver back. Hey, 8. I don't know which that one is.
I think it's for 8 Gaming.
8 Gaming. Love that. Shout out 8 Gaming as well in the comments. Nothing Dom does in the ring impresses me.
I say give him a chance. He's improving.
He's
We're
getting a
there.
little better. And then what's going on, Elijah? We're having a sweet conversation in the comments, and I dig it. Yes. Everyone's friends here.
That's right.
And
Collaborate.
that's the best part about this show. Either way, here's the deal. We've got up next after Cody. We've got the women's Money in the Bank, which I enjoyed thoroughly. And we're all going to get into. So let's do this. We'll toss it around the horn. Last time we went Coby, David, Dryzzy, I believe. This time we're going to go Dryzzy, David, Coby on the women's Money in the Bank match. But before we do that, let's just stay here and chat about our initial thoughts. Anybody throw out any initial thought on this match? I'm going to go first. Psychologically speaking, I thought this might have been the cleanest match of the night. From a storytelling perspective, what do you guys think?
I agree.
Do you? We have 2? Come on, somebody's got to disagree. Coby, you agree as well?
No, I agree with that statement because it was very much a clean ladder match, and something we really haven't seen before with the women's is there's always been kind of a number of whiffs, but tonight it was on fire. There was great storytelling from everyone, and it was by far almost match of the night.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's it's funny because the one spot that really weirdly got me and I couldn't figure it out. I don't know how they pulled it off. I'm sure they did it off camera, but Becky accidentally linked that other cuff to her arm at some point. And then we got back in a spot where she could be cuffed to someone else. I don't know how they did that. That was wizardry. It was brilliant. However, they did it.
That spot in general, I loved it.
Oh
yeah,
it's something you never see in ladder matches. I think the only other time we saw it was the triple threat ladder match with Jeff, Sammy, and I want to say AJ Styles.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, the one with the when they did the ear spot. That was in the Thunderdome.
Yep.
Correct. Yep. Yes, that was an Intercontinental title match. That's a great shout.
Sorry, but I'll just say very quickly on Coby's point about it being an extremely, and yours as well, about it being an extremely clean ladder match. The problem we've had in previous years is that, I mean this is no kind of disrespect to the talents involved in the previous years' Money in the Bank matches. Sometimes they try to do spots above their state. We try to do spots above their station. We saw it a little bit in the men's match actually, where I think we got a little bit carried away. In the women's match, they were very, very careful in this one to, not every, a good ladder match does not have to be how ridiculous can we make every single spot. They kept it fairly simple. I think we had, the biggest one we spot probably of the match was Zelina Vega's, what's the name of the move?
Code Red.
That's the one. Thank you very much. It's late. I'm so tired. But so that move off the ladder which was very, very cleanly executed. The moonsault was clean. Also, I loved about the handcuff spot is that the handcuff spot was introduced by Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus, made it on Becky Lynch, and it ended up not costing them as much as it cost Bayley. It's nice to kind of have it so that it's not as telegraphed as you first think it's going to be, and it also ties 2 stories together because it ties the Zoe and Becky stuff and it ties the Bayley and Io stuff, and it makes the match feel cohesive. One One spot impacts another, which impacts another, which impacts another. The person with the least amount to do in this match story-wise was Zelina, and she made up for that with some great spots. So yeah, I thought this was my favorite match of the night. Really, really great stuff. And the other thing is you can contest the winner of the men's Money in the Bank. I mean, when we did the podcast for the women's Money in the Bank, we all predicted different people. Then the only person that nobody predicted was Trish. Everybody had a different prediction. But yeah, Io, regardless of, I predicted Zoe Stark, but I don't think anybody's going to disagree with Io as a winner. And if this leads us to Asuka versus Io Sky, a proper singles match, please, it was going to be unbelievable.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And yeah, no, I loved the match. I loved the spot. I was kind of laughing at the very end when Bailey and Becky were handcuffed together, and Bailey's face kind of was like, okay, get me out of here. They showed a shot of her. I was like, I think her arm's falling asleep because she was a rung below Becky, and she's just got it sitting up there.
Like, just kind of sitting there, like,
yeah. She had a look on her face, like, okay, we had the moment, like somebody with the key.
Especially when Io spends so long kind of taking it over, as she rightfully should. Yeah. But they do the handcuff spot, and she just stands there and she's laughing at them for ages and ages and ages. And I bet you by the time that briefcase went down, they must have been in absolute agony.
Well, I mean, at least Becky had the arm hanging, so like the blood flow wise, I'm like, Bailey had to feel like she had like sand in her hand and forearm by the end.
I'm just curious, did anybody notice any symbolism in the fact that Io is climbing over the horsewomen to jump to the next level?
That was kind of genius. No, I saw that as well.
In fact, you had a great cast of past, present, and future. Selena, a true MVP in the match. I absolutely adored her in this match. Yes, she had absolutely no storyline going in, but she had the most to gain out of it. I would absolutely be amazed if they didn't start giving her more time on TV just because of all this stuff. Her as a face has flourished. You're having Trish, who took some bumps I really didn't think she was going to take at her age.
Yeah, best she looked in a long time.
100%. I think honestly we could cover this match further, but since we have the time, there's an extra segment, a surprise segment we did not see coming that I think we squeeze in here while we're here covering the show post show, and that is, like you guys are showing, you can't see me. John Cena showed up. The crowd chanted Cena sucks. Then they didn't. Then they did. Then they didn't. It was a long promo, and then we got Grayson Waller. Whether you enjoyed it or not, it was impactful, because if WrestleMania heads to London, it's going to mean the world to that fan base.
Please.
I'll tell you what, I will be making that trip if it happens. David, I'm going to start with you. How much would that mean to you, being from the UK,
everything.
UK WrestleMania?
Oh, man, everything. It's so hard to get to the States for, Mania's on my bucket list for my life. I mean, if it comes to the UK, I can't tell you. I mean, I went to Clash at the Castle. I was unable to make this show. I will be at All In as well. Which is going to be a massive monumental event, but WrestleMania in London, WrestleMania at Wembley Stadium would just be, or this maybe one with a retractable roof, bring it back to the Principality again in Wales, because that's got a retractable roof, which for April, Wembley doesn't, and if it rains, could have some issues. But just very quickly on the segment, it was too long. Cena talked for ages and ages and ages and didn't say very much, but it was a great crowd work segment. I'm so glad that this is by far the best that Waller's looked. He looked really, really great. He got some killer lines in. The Scooby-Doo,
physical.
The Scooby-Doo line, he finally got physical. If this leads to Cena versus Waller at SummerSlam, yes, please. Yes, please.
All for it. Okay, I'm going to toss it to Dryzzy. So are we splitting a rental car in a hotel for that Mania 41?
We might have to. We might have to. So, two things. John Cena can do whatever he wants. That took the amount of time that it took him to just he called his own chance. They're like, normally you guys say Cena sucks. Okay, do it. And they did it. That just shows how much Cena's at that rock level where he can just commandeer a show if he really wanted to. The second thing, WWE really likes Grayson Waller. He went from interviewing your future to now he's interviewing the big guys. And on Friday, he's doing Edge. He's gonna get that Grayson Waller effect show with Cena. You got me convinced. It's Cena and Waller at SummerSlam. He is showing that he can hold his own with some of the best on the mic. I really believe that this was a test, and Grayson Waller passed with flying colors.
I agree. I think that's a great shout. Grayson actually kind of stole the second half of the segment in my eyes, in a weird way. Like it was more about him than I would have ever expected, given how long Cena talked, as David presented before. Coby, your thoughts on this one?
I mean, this is the Grayson Waller I knew given the opportunity, he would flourish. Grayson Waller is by far like one of the better 2.0 talent, if you want to consider it that way. But he came in, he knows how to talk, he knows how to get under your skin. He did against the Cena fans, he did against the UK, the London crowd. He showed up, he showed out, he got physical, he looked good again and the beatdown. He took the AA clean. It was a moment that I'm like, hey, this is somewhere I would go. And I think Grayson Waller is someone who could take a match of Cena and not become a choke artist. Like Austin Theory. I mean, Austin Theory's done nothing since WrestleMania. I think if this is the SummerSlam direction, Grayson Waller comes out of that match looking like $1 million and is one of the future stars of the company. And if that direction is LA Knight versus Austin Theory for SummerSlam, LA Knight a new champion versus a new champion, a new threat in Grayson Waller, I'm all for that. Like it would be money to me. I think Grayson Waller has a tremendous future in this company.
I could not agree more on Grayson Waller. I thought he definitely was a standout today. We got some awesome comments here again. We got Soul with, I must say, Cena Shine was a big surprise, but WrestleMania in the UK, wow, just don't have it in England, just have it in Scotland, so I ain't got to travel for it. That's hilarious.
I want it in Wales as well, mate.
And then
Don't
we've
worry.
got Apollo Animations with, I mean, England is the idea. The more concerning thing is, are we getting a Cena versus Waller at Mania? Because oh wow, no. SummerSlam, guys. Come on. SummerSlam.
Mania.
And then Soul Sessions. I did Mania 39 with the others. And as my first Mania, trust me, David, is an experience of a lifetime. That was a blast, Soul. We all enjoyed it. Time of our lives. No doubt in LA. Let's move on though to now our co-main event of the evening. Seth Rollins versus not the demon Finn Balor, but Finn Balor. And boy, did I enjoy this one more than I even expected. In a tough spot, sandwiched between arguably two of the biggest matches of the night, sandwiched in an interesting spot. I'm going to toss it straight to you, Dryzzy. How did you like this match? Did you like it as well as I did?
I enjoyed the story that it told. But like you said, it was really it was between a rock and a hard place because after all the amazing things the women did, we get a story-based match. And then after that, you're getting an even bigger story-based match. Balor, he was on point. He nearly wrestled the perfect match. And he had Seth at the end. But that whole specter of having your partner come down with the Money in the Bank briefcase and at any point in time pull a Seth Rollins mid-match and make it a triple threat match, they're both on edge. Like at that point, like that's what people don't think about it with the Money in the Bank. Yes, you could come attack at the most vulnerable time, but sometimes the most vulnerable time is in the triple threat because you don't even have to be pinned.
Yeah.
Like if this was to happen during a fatal four-way, I would almost 100% go for that match. Making it in a multi-man match is the ultimate strategy to guarantee a win.
Well, and you look at historically speaking, you have Rollins who inserted himself into Lesnar and Reigns, and you don't have to pin the champion. While obviously Edge was incredibly successful following the Elimination Chamber win by Cena in the initial cash-in, historically speaking, inserting yourself into a match has been successful. That look that Priest gave Balor on the top rope, boy, was that outstanding. The eye contact and it just, too much time. Too much time. It's classic pro wrestling. I dug it. It was good storytelling. Obviously, there's going to be some dissension in the blood, or I mean, not the bloodline, in Judgment Day. This is the part that's kind of annoying to me, and I don't want to cover this too much, but so we're breaking up Damage Control, we're breaking up the Judgment Day. They've basically been parallel stables since they were introduced at SummerSlam a couple years ago, right?
Mhm.
And it's just neither one has been that successful in my eyes, outside of for Ripley and for now Damian Priest. Dominic has been benefited, but I don't think he needed to be in Judgment Day ever. I don't know. Coby, David, do you guys have more thoughts on this one?
I'll just say quickly, I hard disagree on Dominic. I hard disagree on Dominic not needing Judgment Day.
Okay.
Because if he didn't have Judgment Day, then he doesn't get Rhea Ripley, and if he doesn't get Rhea Ripley, I don't think he gets over. And that's not a slight on Dominic at all. Dominic's amazing. It's just the whole mommy thing, and that's what made him entertaining was the stuff with Rhea and the stuff with Ray. It kind of that him and Rhea going and breaking up all the different celebrations, and then that we forget that's what really started to build the hype for him. Just with regards to Rollins versus Balor, unsurprisingly great wrestling match, really, really well wrestled. Like the story that they told a lot, some really, really good spots, some quite brutal spots in there as well. It was nothing spectacular. It was a solid 4.25 star pay-per-view match. It was nothing towards the top end, I don't think. But it was just very, very cleanly wrestled, and I really liked the stuff with Priest. And I think that there's a really interesting story to be told here with Balor and Priest going forward, which is why I think it is probably a good idea that he got the briefcase. Just very quickly, because I've just seen it now. A quote from Triple H from the Money in the Bank press conference with regards to LA Knight: "Good things come to those who wait." That's what was said.
Mm.
So there's
That is
there
fascinating.
might be some. So we people may have to cool themselves on the thing. Damian Priest is a good Money in the Bank winner. This match proved why.
We've got a few more comments here. We've got 2023's The Death of Factions from Apollo Animations. We have Damage Control are still together as Bailey and Io came out at the press conference together. Bailey saying it's a win for Damage Control.
The only way I think that's fair is that Io didn't see that Bailey pushed her off the ladder, but
I don't know. I
the
think
handicap spot's
Bailey
fun.
is going to cost Io her cash in attempt. That might make some sense, but
We are due for a failed women's cash in attempt.
but Io handcuffed Bailey.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. That's why you can't really say there isn't.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, Drizzy, but
yeah, no, I mean we both did. But I mean that's why you can't really say like, oh, Io's completely oblivious to the fact that they did the turn. She did the cuff in order to be able to win the match. I think it's a matter of they can play it off as it's heat of the moment. It was respect. I stabbed you in the back. You cuffed me. We're even. We're blocked. It's still going to be a integral part of the entire storyline between Bailey and Io, and that's what I said a few weeks ago. And I think it's the right move in that case.
I agree, and I think it'll all be fascinating. But let's get into the main event of the evening, the longest match of the night, the long one. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline Civil War against Jimmy and Jey Uso. What a match this was! It was long. David, you and I watched it with Coby. Coby was not on the microphone at the time. You and I talked about it. I personally believe the first 15 minutes of the match were slightly too slow. Just slightly. I remember looking at David, and David said they need to get going. And I said, yes, at least pick up the pace. Absolutely. And they did, and they delivered. But that initial build was a little slow. Coby, you rated the match. I'm going to start with you. Then we're going to go to Drizzy, and then we're going to end on David, and then we'll go home. But Coby, what did you rate it? I know, so don't bury the lead, and then tell me why.
I mean, I 100% believe it was a 5-star match because there's a difference between a 15-minute slow build with a dead crowd. And we almost saw that at Forbidden Door with Danielson and Okada. I don't want to, that's all I'm going to mention with AEW. At the end of the day, the entire crowd was on their feet, chanting at Roman, digging into Roman. The storytelling of that first half was Roman saying in the camera, "Why are we here? London is garbage," and it was the fact that it started it. I think the first half was slow, but it was a good slow to me. I think, and we talk about the entire segments that have happened the last 2 months and way before, and between Cody and all the Bloodline and Sami Zayn and all that. We talk about the Bloodline rivalry being cinema. This match was cinema because the finish, we have Heyman saying, "Yeah, Roman's going to smash him, stack him." They do that direction, and we get the kick out. The crowd was chanting BS. The crowd were ready to riot and lose their shit, but they didn't. And at the end of the day, that's what you want, is you had the crowd get the life, and you had the Usos get the win. We saw Roman getting pinned for the first time since Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin doesn't have a line anymore when he cuts his promos saying, "I'm the last person to pin Roman Reigns." No, now it's Jey Uso. We now know there's going to be another rematch, and rightfully so. Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns was one of the top rivalries in the Thunderdome era, and now 3 years later, we're
Right now.
getting it in person. It's going to be electric come SummerSlam or come Payback. This match was match of the night. This is what you expect from a big match from Roman Reigns. It completely delivered, in my opinion.
Drizzy, do you agree?
I do. So if you look at the classic structure of way Roman does his matches, they all start out slow. He's in that acknowledge me aspect of it. So it's like everything I do is for you all to chant, tell me how great I am. That ain't happening in London. They're like, boo, bump you, Roman, get out of here. We don't like you. Like, and then when it picked up, this is like a play. I don't know how familiar you guys with like with theater stuff. So with plays, you have your intro, the entrances, and that first 15 minutes, and then it goes into your rising action. You get to your climax, your falling action, and your conclusion. This match hit every single one of those, and as a theater kid, it had me in the palm of their hand, in palm of their hands. They had me 110% from the time when Roman, no, Solo was getting ready to go off on Jimmy. I think at the beginning of the match, and you hear Jay in the background. Yeah, yeah, you better listen to your daddy as he goes over
Ooh.
to tag him. That's a story beat right there. Because then you see the look that Solo gives Roman, and then from when you go outside the ring where Roman is talking with Paul, and Paul's like, "Do you want your son sitting at his table?" And then the match picks up. It's like a switch lit in right then and there. You get your climax from that aspect. The double team moves from Solo and Roman, I did not see coming, and I loved them. If they were a normal tag team, it's all you wrote. That's all she wrote every time. I loved it. This match, 5 stars, 110%. Give it to me twice on Sundays. Match of the year for me.
Ooh, okay. I hear where you're coming from, David. Your thoughts on this one? And Drizzy said, I don't know about if you guys know theater. If anyone knows theater, I know David does.
Yeah,
So
I am a theatre kid. Um, right. I thought the first, if we include entrances, I thought 25 minutes of this was insufferably boring. And what I mean, I know this is the style of Roman's matches, but I've never remembered it this slow. It was because it went on and on with a clothesline and then a rest hold and then a clothesline and then a rest hold. You can have your slow sequences. You can have Roman work over the Usos. You can do all the stuff with the crowd. But I was completely checked out. I felt like Alex from A Clockwork Orange, being with my eyes held open because it's Roman Reigns and I like Roman Reigns and I like all these guys. It's like, ugh. Once from the moment the double spear happened, the match got infinitely more interesting. Infinitely more interesting. And from then on, I got more into it. I still didn't. I did take issue with the amount of kickouts that the Usos got, and how kind of easy it was to put Roman away, considering there wasn't a ton of shenanigans here. Roman did lose clean as he should have done, but like I remember with the Usos, you had the guillotines. They escaped the guillotine. They kicked out of the spike and the spear. They kicked. They had the double stack off the two spike. They had all of those things. All
multiple
those
Superman punches. I mean, Michael Cole had to sell that he missed the one that he didn't miss.
Yeah, multiple Superman punches, and I think the Usos got 2 splashes and you're done. Which is fine. It makes the Usos look great. And I'm really happy that Jay got the pin. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have got the win. And I'm also not saying that the first half of the match didn't have story in there at all, because it did. The stuff with Heyman, as you said, the little bits and pieces, the looks, they're all brilliant actors. I just, considering that you sit through a 10-minute video package, then you sit through 15 minutes worth of entrances, then 5 minutes worth of thing, 3.5 hours into a wrestling show, and then you go through really slow action. It didn't get me into the Usos. It made me just want the match to get going and somebody to do something. If you start strong, if you start quick, and then kind of go, then begin to build up to a hot tag, then at the very least you get a little bit of oomph off the start. But rightfully, they started very slowly with the pushovers and the Solo Sikoa stuff, which was great. But it just, for me, the first half of the match felt really, really flat. And the second half of the match, when we got more interested, I got more interested. I think it was the right result. I have issues with the kickouts, as I said, but for me, I don't think this is the best Roman Reigns match of the last month, which I think was the Night of Champions match. I thought that was infinitely more interesting, especially with the Jimmy stuff. This sounds like I'm ragging on this, and I'm not, because I did enjoy the second half a lot. I loved the acting from Roman. I loved the acting from everybody involved. I just think you can infuse the Roman storytelling, which he's done in the past, with more interesting action in that first half of the match, because I think we kind of get amnesia a little bit.
It's funny, we talk about the Mafia influence with the Roman storylines, and I'm between you guys on this one a little bit. David, I agree with so much of what you said. Dryzzy, I understand where you're coming from on the storytelling. We've mentioned The Godfather numerous times when it comes to the Bloodline storyline. Godfather 1 is excellent, but that first hour is a little rough at times. That first hour is a little rough.
Yeah.
Until they, build, right? I thought this had a little bit of that. I thought the second half delivered, but this wasn't The Godfather quite. And I don't want to keep getting The Godfather, would be my only complaint. I don't want that every time, because here's my one caveat. Solo Sikoa is one of the most explosive athletes in all of the WWE. And it felt like in that first 15 minutes, he worked at Roman Reigns' pace, which I think was unfair to Solo and did not make him look as good as he should have in this match on that side of the team. That's my only caveat, my only issue I had with this one. I hear where you're coming from on 5 stars, Coby. Dryzzy, you made great points. David, I am, again, we watched it together. I get exactly where you're coming from. I had it at 4.75 myself, but I'm, at the end of the day, not going to. Coby has it at 5. It's 5. It's as good of a match as you could almost ask for. The ending was cinema. We talked about that. It was. That as an excellent point. It was an outstanding show. I think the crowd had as much to do with it as anything, as always.
An incredible crowd. The UK crowds are amazing.
That is what, at the end of the day, that's what we should be celebrating today, is that crowd over-delivered and the expectations were already high. And that's the coolest part about it, is
like John Cena said,
they'd be loud, and it was that loud.
Like John Cena said, they deserve a WrestleMania after that.
Yes,
No
we
doubt.
do.
Like they
Yes,
do.
we do.
I'd be sold on it. It was a tremendous
And
night.
we'll
Hot
see.
crowd. Nothing more that you can ask for.
We'll see you once again very shortly here in August. All in at Wembley Stadium. We'll see another hot UK crowd for professional wrestling. Can't wait till then. On behalf of me, Coby, Dryzzy, David, everyone here at Wrestling Republic, thank you guys for tuning in to the Money in the Bank 2023 post show. If you haven't already thumbs up and subscribed, please do. If you're on Spotify, a 5-star would be excellent. Other than that, we will see you guys once again tomorrow and appreciate the support. Thank you once again and have an awesome evening.